Hey guys, today we'll be talking about a pretty interesting topic, the idea that nobody is selfless, so you should stop pretending. Now, I'm not a philosophy student, so this just came out of my own life experiences and a lot of nights of insomnia and just like laying in bed and thinking. So treat this like more of a rant, a podcast style rant, and not a lecture. Today we'll be diving into the idea of psychological egoism. Now, what does that actually mean? That is the belief that every human action, even ones that look selfless, are ultimately motivated by self interest. And it's not a claim that people are evil, or it's more of a claim about what's actually driving human behavior. Now, today we'll be going over like 5 topics. Um, we're not going to go in depth because each of these can be deep enough to be their own video, but they are: the world does not need you, the truth of selfishness, and the tricks of emotion, charity is a lie, and I am God, the world is my playground. Today we're just going to touch on each one, and maybe, who knows, I can make this a bigger series if y'all enjoy this type of thing. Now, the world does not need you, right? This is a tie to meritocracy. So the point is replaceability. You're always fighting to keep pace with everyone else. My favorite analogy for this is my burger flipper analogy. So if I were the manager of a fast food chain, why would I ever hire a guy who flips 1 burger per minute over someone who flips 3? This is saying that nobody is safe for just existing, and you have to keep proving you're worth your spot. Because even if you flip 3 burgers, what is stopping someone from like a 5 burger per minute flipper to come and interview for your spot, right? Now, I believe the number one cause of this is overpopulation leading to over competition. Too many people fighting for the same limited spots, and I truly believe life would be much easier if the population was just cut in half, and we should be focusing on quality of people over quantity of people. So, less competition, more room to actually live instead of just improving to keep your spot, keep your tempo. And yeah, let's move on to the second topic: the truth of selflessness. Now, every act looks selfless that looks selfless has some sort of payoff attached. The payoff is usually just hidden or denied. Most people who argue against this simply fail to see like what they gain from certain selfless actions. For example, a lot of the time, charity gets brought up, right? And we'll go into the lies of charity later on in this video. But for now, what does someone get for donating to charity? Let's just think on this a little bit, right? They get, number one, the identity of being a good person. What does that mean? It's like if someone donates to charity, another person can be like, oh, that person is so kind, right? Just this perception of them is like immediately there, that they're a nice person. They give out to the homeless, you know? That's what the identity of being a good person means. Another thing they could get is just the good feeling of helping someone else, or like the dopamine that comes from helping someone. That one is a little bit more ambiguous, but if something makes you feel good and you keep doing it, for example, like if you like candy, right? Like Jolly Ranchers, for example, um, and having a Jolly Rancher in your mouth makes you happy, right? To some degree because it tastes good. Then obviously you would keep doing it, right? That's the same idea of the good feeling of donating here is. And there's maybe like one more, maybe this pertains more to like billionaires, but like tax breaks and stuff like that. We don't have to dive into that, but that does exist. It's just not too important for the majority of people. Now, what does this mean? What does this hidden payoff for every action mean? It doesn't mean that people are just evil or something. It's just that people are not honest with themselves. So a person who sacrifices for a cause avoids the pain of watching it fail, or gets something always gets something in return. Like a parent sacrificing for their kid, like if a parent were to save their kid over themselves, they get they get to preserve their legacy. That is also a hidden payoff, right? So the thought is just to keep in mind that whenever, or like whatever someone does, there's always strings attached. How serious or how strong those strings aren't necessarily obvious or even too important. They are important, but the idea is that you just need to know they're there. Right. Now, let's talk about the tricks of emotion. There are two important things to hit here. First, emotion is not inherently bad. It just needs to come second to logic. For example, love is an emotion. But if you love someone that is inherently bad for you, like a bum or a loser, right? And it leads to a miserable life, that is picking emotion over logic, right? Emotion should be a factor, but not your deciding vote. Like, only you can blame for that miserable, like, you can only blame yourself for that miserable life, because you chose him. I guess you could argue that you could blame him for being a loser, but one of the things I like to say, especially in like competitive video games, if you're anything like me, I love playing League of Legends or Overwatch, anytime of those competitive video games. You can only control your keyboard and not your teammates. So no matter how bad they are, it's on you to be able to make the best actions possible. And you're the only one you can blame at the end of the day. Now, the second thing is, in a world full of emotional people, logic actually gives you a very strong advantage. Now, this is kind of Machiavellian thinking. Some people would even push this to the point of calling it sociopathy, but the thing is, emotional people are very predictable. If you act in that direction, you can potentially get something back for it. So, like, if you know that, like, let's say you want a referral from a professor or something like that, right? And you know he's very against, or it's just easier to argue. Let's say he's very pro-Trump, right? If you talk to him and you're like, oh, I agree with some of Trump's ideas on this, right? The professor may like you more, and therefore you have a higher chance of getting that referral, even though you may not agree with his takes there. So basically, predictability can be exploited, right? Predictability caused by emotion can be exploited, and logic is kind of what lets you see it and use it. Now, next point. Charity is a lie. Not because I hate people, not because I think suffering is fine, but unconditional giving is lazy. It asks nothing of the person receiving it, and it asks nothing of me, and all you really get from it, as I said before, is like a feeling, right? Or like a self-bought. It's it's self-image. It's a bought self-image at a discount. That's a good way to put it. So what I'm saying is, my standards to help someone, like standards to help, should be based on like help should be earned, not owed. That's what I'm trying to say here. Not because poor people are less than anyone. Well, I mean, in a material sense, they are, but in a human sense, help with zero expectation does not respect them as humans. it does not respect them as being capable to hold up their end of the bargain. Um, it treats a person sort of like this black hole where you endlessly pour resources into instead of someone who can meet you halfway, right? If you do end up giving, and this is like the only scenario where you should give, you have to treat it like an investment, the same way you would treat like buying a stock, right? You don't buy a stock just because it's something to pour money into, right? You don't buy a stock for no reason. You always expect like the stock will grow and you'll have some sort of return. Giving should work the same way. There should be an expected return, even if that return is not money. Um, Now, giving because refusing makes you look like a bad guy, or yeah, a bad guy is probably the best way you could put it. That's the lazy cold option, not the other way around. Right? Now, finally, we get to the last point. I am God, the world is my playground. What does that mean? If the world does not need you, it runs on merit, and therefore you are replaceable, why are you God? Right? If nobody is truly selfless, so the goodness I would perform was never pure in the first place, why are you God? If emotion is what convinces people to ignore everything and just play along out of guilt or fear of looking selfish, why are you God? Well, God, the definition of God being used here is not a being of eternal lovingness and like someone who's loving and holy, but it's almost like a third person omniscient view of the world, kind of like a player playing a video game, right? And the thing is, everyone is keeping score. That's actually the whole point. People keep track of what, like, who owes who gave what, who looks good, who does not, right? And once you see the game that's being played here, whether you admit it or not, you can either keep losing by pretending it's not there, or you can actually start playing it on purpose, right? This is not nihilism in any sense. In fact, it's like the exact opposite. Nihilism, for those who don't know, is saying that nothing matters, right? And the idea is if life is just like a video game, nothing really matters, right? So it's what I'm actually trying to say is that the only thing that matters is what you decide matters. Big difference, right? Once you admit that the score is being kept, you get to build your own rules instead of following someone else's based on like selfishness or fear, right? And it stops being fun once you start following someone else's rules. Now, just closing this off, not telling anyone to adopt my train of thought, although I would suggest that you think about it and take what you like from it. This is just where I landed after many years of overthinking. Curious to what y'all think about my thoughts. If y'all disagree, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, subscribe and like. I'll see y'all guys next time. Bye.